What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. As you can tell by the title and by seeing the thumbnail, stuff is getting crazy over in California right now. It's getting hot. It's already hot. ICE, the protests, the people, you know, they're going head to head. And all because, of Trump's order to have ICE come in and take people that aren't legally here and send them back. But they're starting to escalate their tactics, and a lot of people aren't having it. They're fighting back with all means, except for actual weapons, like guns and stuff. But let's check it out. Like I said, it's getting hot over there.
We're making Los Angeles safer. And Mayor
We're making it
Pence ought to be
safer.
thanking us for making her city safer.
A storm of violence has gripped California over the past 48 hours as
It's like a war
anti-ICE
zone.
protests erupted into fierce urban warfare. Federal agents in tactical gear wielded tear gas, flashbangs and pepper balls against hundreds who hurled bricks, overturned shopping carts and set cars ablaze at key intersections in Los Angeles County. Protesters waved Mexican flags and defied crowd control in a surreal clash that engulfed neighborhoods from the Fashion District to Paramount. With chaos spiraling, Tom Homan announced deployment of the National Guard to seize control. The showdown pits local sanctuary leaders against a hardline federal crackdown, raising fears of a dystopian security state.
It looks like the border of Mexico. So I remember in El Paso, it's a border town, right next to Juarez, and this is what you see. The truck zooming back and forth, doing stuff, people fighting and protesting. See what these comments got to say. Oh yeah, it looks a lot safer. It's called due process. People don't understand it or won't stand for it. Notice how they are representing Mexico but aren't in Mexico, and they fighting to not go to Mexico. California was part of Mexico. Yeah, a long time ago. How 44 arrests make it safer. Ain't never been this dangerous, actually. Wave that effing Mex flag in my country. Trump, Trump, Trump. Trump is king. After the National Guard gets there, 6 to 8 hours later, they will declare martial law. Yeah, they probably will. Because once the military shows up, if they can't control of it, martial law, massive curfews. If not, they put everybody in zip ties and bring them in. Yeah, it's like the movie Civil War. Have you seen that? That's what it looks like. This is a Hollywood fantasy. Trump wants to control California's National Guard to crush protests against ICE raids carried out by FBI, DHS, and others. And these guards will bow like loyal pawns, arresting citizens without warrant, forgetting they swore to defend the Constitution, not serve as the dumpster king's chaos. And this pretty much goes on and on about the same thing. Flashbacks. They're just tossing them. Look at the regular paintball guns, but they have like the pepper balls. It's equivalent, same thing as a paintball. But yeah, that's how they're shooting people. Hit them in the face and around the face and eyes. You know, coughing. It's pepper spray. Tear gas. Damn. Oh, it's a smoke, color smoke. I thought it was fire at first. I'm like, shit. Just like Iraq, Afghanistan. In gear.
ICE and LA have gone to war, with ICE reportedly starting it by using military-style force against protesters, which led to even more protesters showing up. Right, yesterday, they conducted multiple sweeps around LA, which was the starting point for the clashes. With ICE wearing camouflage military tactical gear with military-style rifles, and they were riding in MRAPs. They also had their faces covered with no name tags or badge numbers. With reports saying they began throwing flashbangs, firing
that's the thing. You see them like they're covering their faces all up to their eyes. And you got their names and stuff taken off from their uniforms. Like anybody could pretty much, put one of those uniforms on. It could be anybody up under there. You don't know what they're doing. See, that's not lawful. So, somebody come up there, kicks your door and kicks your, comes to pull you out your car, you can't identify. How's your family gonna know? See, that's pretty messed up.
Guns, shooting non-lethals at protesters, spraying pepper spray, and firing tons of tear gas. The LAPD then stepped in and declared the protest unlawful and began to disperse it. Right, and this is now the fourth city this week that
Squad
ICE has
online.
encountered resistance from the people. Though it's unclear how much of the resistance is about deportations and how much of it is about ICE acting like an occupying military force. Right, and this is the MRAPs that ICE is using. They were designed for Iraq and Afghanistan, and the U.S. military actually had to change how they use them because they found that locals often saw their presence as being very oppressive and that they instigated conflict. And, you're certainly seeing the same reaction here in the U.S.
But my thing is, though, if you want to protest peacefully. You know how Gandhi did it. Sit, don't move, hands up, not, destroying property, actually trying to, injure the police officer, law enforcement officers. But when you do that, then that's going to make them want to get more aggressive. And then everybody's just going to try to one-up each other. And then this is going to be just a total war, chaos.
Anonymity of these agents, it's only seeming to escalate it. But with that, you had the acting ICE director releasing a video today telling those criticizing ICE that he's demanding that they stop. But you also have a lot of people saying that if ICE got rid of the masks, they put their name tags back on and they dusted off the SUVs, that people would go back to ignoring them. But for now, let me know your thoughts and follow and share to stay in the loop.
We continue to follow this civil unrest taking place in the streets of downtown Los Angeles.
But you see again, though, I understand their cause. But when you wave another nation's flag in the nation that you want to be a part of, and you don't want to go back to the other nation, I'm not understanding. Like, when you raise the U.S. flag or a peace flag or something other than, no, because all you're doing is just, spinning up the ICE guys. They're going to be spun up and all riled up, and they're going to want to come after you.
You're looking live at the intersection of Alameda Street and Temple Street. What started as a peaceful rally, upwards of about close to 1,000 people actually at the very peak, started around 4 o'clock this afternoon.
I don't know if you guys remember back in 2020 when the whole George Floyd thing kicked off here in Seattle. That's how it started. Similar to this. They started Ryan, police came online, tried to control the situation. It's just more people, The police force is only so big. You got an entire city of civilians coming down on you. You can't do nothing. And they pretty much overran the police station. They had to pull out, the police officers had to pull out of the police station, and it was occupied by civilians for a good month. They had like a whole section blocked off for a month.
Side of the federal building on Los Angeles Street next to the Federal Detention Center eventually turned into a march that has taken an ugly turn as things became more aggressive. There was some violence breaking out on the part of protesters and on the part of federal authorities, calling in for backup from the LAPD, who have now formed a skirmish line after there were a number of objects thrown at law enforcement.
That right there, that's what they call a skirmish line. That's not going to hold. It should be at least 4 or 5 men deep or people deep. That means people behind people, offset. So you got 2 people right here standing side by side. You got 1 person in the middle, so somebody can't bust through this line. And you got to, offset each line, offset by 1 to make it more of like an actual gate. And if someone does penetrate through, the people behind, the people that stand in the front, they pull them, put them in hand irons, take them off to a collection point as they reform the line again. I remember doing that in Panama and Iraq during civil unrest.
Law enforcement has now returned fire with less lethal force, basically rubber bullets, pepper spray, tear gas, stuff like that.
Hey, what happened to you, bro?
They hit me with a rubber bullet.
They shot you.
And they shot his ass in the head. Caught him with one of those rubber bullets. They're less than lethal. It didn't kill him, but it leaves a mark. And if he would have got hit in the ear, in the mouth, in the throat, Yeah, it can mess you up really bad. It can blind you if you get hit in the eye.
You in the head? You all right?
You see that? He tossed a flashbang. Watch, we'll go back. Right here. There it is. He rolls his window past like a bridge. It busted the window. That's crazy. That looks like a war zone for real. You gotta think about it also, how expensive this is going to be to clean up. Because after everything's said and done, both sides retreat back to their respective areas. People got to come in and clean everything up. People got to come rebuild. They got to fix all the damaged property, the vehicles that got destroyed. Think about it. It's going to be expensive.
Tom Homan announced that he's sending the National Guard here to Los Angeles because people are protesting ICE raids. But the felon and his diaper lickers are calling it an insurrection. Hi, I'm Johnny Gen X and I'm all about the news. And I'm about 10 miles away from the federal invasion here in Los Angeles.
Elected officials especially, who keep firing up this rhetoric. I'm telling you, it's coming. There's going to be a tragedy.
What's funny is that I had a sergeant major look just like this guy. Old country bumpkin from Alabama back in the day when I was in Fort Bragg.
Because they keep throwing gas on this flame.
No, you maggot piece of trash. ICE is throwing fuel onto the flame. ICE are not agents of our Constitution. They are agents of MAGA. And we will make sure that they do not succeed. You know what, you want to talk about sending out the National Guard? They should be sent out here.
It's crazy too, because like there's a lot of people like him. They talk a bad game, talk like they know some stuff. They may, book-wise, but as far as like tactics and stuff, what we're going to do, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. When it comes down for it, they're not going to do nothing. They're just a keyboard warrior. No type of training, no type of experience actually doing stuff like that. The most that they do is like maybe Call of Duty. But when it comes down to nitty-gritty, if things were to, such an uprise where you actually have to go grab our guns, because we are the Minutemen type thing, they're not going to do that. Not Minutemen, but militia. When 2A, all those 2A guys get up and start doing stuff, they're not going to do nothing. These guys will be sitting out the fight, and the actual people who actually about that life, who've had it, as far as their career or experience, they'll go out and do stuff. Him, he won't do nothing. It's just all talk.
Here to protect us from those federal invaders. Here's the thing, this entire charade by the government is not about public safety. It's about political theater and intimidation. They're using military-style force to silence protest, while Stephen Miller is out here calling peaceful dissent a war against the country. That's dangerous language, man. That's dictatorship language. This isn't law and order. This is chaos, cruelty, and cover-up. And I have a message for Stephen Miller and Tom Homan and the rest of the felons administration, the Orange Gang. Bring out the National Guard. I'll be out there with my community against this tyranny. And
he'll be out there with his community. You're not. Because think about it, it's the National Guard. Yes, the civilians of the U.S. have more guns as a whole, but the type of equipment the military has at their disposal, it'd be a bloodbath. I don't want it to come to that. It'd be, like I said, that movie Civil War. So no, it shouldn't come to that.
once we clean up your goons from the streets of Los Angeles, we're going to be coming after you. In fact, Tom...
Hear that? That's a threat. We're going to be
up your goons from the streets of Los Angeles, we're going to be coming after you. In fact, Tom Homan is here in Los Angeles, and I hope someone makes it so that he'll never leave Los Angeles. This is...
Makes it so that he'll never... You see that? These are his keyboard words I'll be talking about. They're all bark, no bite.
The home of the body bag. These federal invaders want to criminalize criticism of ICE. You know what that sounds like? It sounds like a government trying to make itself above the people. If the felons team keeps crying insurrection every time people protest, maybe it's because deep down they know they have become the oppressors.
a sign of the video. That's a lot of Mexican flags. A whole lot of Mexican flags. It's just on repeat. But yeah, what's his comments over here? When is Taco going to see that it's not that what the U.S. is about? He is sitting back and you think he's enjoying the havoc caused by him. They keep pushing. They just might kick off that civil war. Yeah. These protesters forget we voted for this, right? Yeah, exactly. Tens of millions of us. This isn't going to go away the way they think. Some lessons have to be learned the hard way, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I don't see it getting better anytime soon just because there's going to be people antagonizing the other side on both sides. So, yeah. I just hope everybody stays safe out there, do the right thing, love your neighbor, and don't be involved in this because, at the end of the day, when people start getting identified, they're going to come after you. So there's also that going to happen. Anyway, that's my thoughts. That's my comments on it. Let me know your thoughts on the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, give me a thumbs up. I'll catch you next video. Peace.